and EBN Prime Edition starts now. And former Deputy President Gachagua has raised concerns over what he claims is biased issuance of national identity cards, alleging that the process is being manipulated to favor President William Ruto ahead of the next general election. Speaking during the launch of a Kiambu gubernatorial candidate under the DCP party at his Nairobi headquarters, Gachagua alleged that the government and the registrar of persons have implemented a selective system in which applicants in areas perceived to support the president receive faster services compared to others. Now he warned that such practices, if left unchecked, could undermine public trust in state institutions and compromise fairness in the electoral processes.
As we go towards the general election, William Ruto and his people, sensing defeat, have decided to have selective issuance of IDs. Areas perceived to be against William Ruto, our young people are being denied IDs. In Nakuru, communities that support William Ruto are being issued IDs within 2 or 3 days, and chiefs from those communities are collecting the IDs and taking them home to the young people. Communities perceived to be against William Ruto are taking between 3 to 4 months for their IDs to be processed. We want to call on William Ruto and the government to stop selective issuance of IDs. I want to take this opportunity to appeal to our young people, the Gen Zs. The people of Kenya are looking upon you to liberate this country because you are fearless and you are tribeless, and you cannot be manipulated and bribed with the money by William Ruto. I want to ask the Gen Zs, my sons and daughters, my grandchildren, Kenya, our motherland, looks upon you to save this country. You are the only vote that we know that cannot be compromised. I want to commend you for what you have done so far, creating awareness among the people of Kenya through the smartphone. But I want to appeal to you, my children, that the real transformation of this country will take place on the ballot box. And the tools of change that you need is the ID and the vote.
While still on matters politics, ODM party leader Dr. Oburu Oginga has dismissed claims that the Orange Democratic Movement, that is ODM, is being weakened or taken over by any political formation, insisting that the party remains strong and independent. Now speaking during the ODM Youth Forum held in Nairobi on Monday, Oburu emphasized that the ODM cannot be what he termed as swallowed by any other party, despite its current political engagements and cooperation with the United Democratic Alliance, that is UDA. Now, he further warned that the party will take legal action against leaders spreading claims that he or other officials have been bought or influenced by the government.
Kuna mmoja wao ambaye amesema ati Oburu amenunuliwa. Mimi nitapeleka yeye kotini aseme huko Oburu amenunuliwa na pesa ngapi. Mimi siwezi kununuliwa. Na hii chama chetu ya ODM haiwezi kumezwa. Hii chama chetu ya ODM haiwezi kufanywa nini? Haiwezi kumezwa. Our party will grow from strength to strength. It can never be swallowed by anybody. It is too big to be swallowed. If you try to swallow it, your stomach will burst. If you try to swallow our party, your stomach will burst. And I'm telling you that that is not possible.
Now, wrong Member of Parliament Paul Obor has proposed amendments to the Petroleum Act of 2019 aimed at empowering the Cabinet Secretary for Energy and the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is EPRA, to intervene and reduce fuel prices during the national emergencies. Now, speaking on the proposal, Obur said that the current legal framework limits the government's ability to respond swiftly to sudden increases in fuel prices, especially during periods of global market instability. Now, he noted that the ongoing tensions in international energy markets, including disruptions to key supply routes have created uncertainty in global petroleum pricing, with ripple effects being felt in Kenya and other countries in the region.
Amendment to the following. Number 1, allow the Cabinet Secretary responsible for energy, in consultation with EPRA, to formally declare an emergency pricing period where global disruptions occur. Number 2, allow fuel price reviews every 14 days during declared emergencies. Number 3, ensure faster transmission of price reductions. Number 4, prohibit any mid-cycle price increases. During this period, prices will only go down or remain stable and never rise mid-cycle. For instance, we know that we normally review prices every 30 days, but we are trying to put in a mechanism where when the prices drop, the consumers can get immediate benefit.
Now, the National Taxpayers Association, that is NTA, has called on public transport operators to avoid arbitrary increases in fares following the recent rise in fuel prices across the country. And in a statement, the association warned that some matatu drivers are taking advantage of the situation to impose unfair and excessive charges on commuters, further increasing the cost of living for already strained households. NTA emphasized that such practices are unjustified and place an additional burden on Kenyans who are already grappling with high living expenses driven by rising commodity prices. Now, various stakeholders who shared their views noted that the fuel prices increases have not been matched by corresponding wage adjustments, leaving ordinary workers disproportionately affected.
This is the time that this increase in fuel prices does not really commensurate to the salaries increment. You know what we are, all Kenyans are going through. Would encourage the government to really consider having a policy that will allow the public service and even private sectors or the PBOs to encourage working from home. As you can see, I've implemented this as a strategy so that instead of spending the ones who are using public transport, 300 per day, and you see that comes to around over 6,000 per month, which is not planned prior. So this is something that needs to be adopted. In terms of supply chain, it is the time when now all the associations, policymakers need to have a candid dialogue to see how to really regulate even on the market system rates so that we don't have supply chain disrupted in our
Right, still on matters politics, UGM party leader David Maraga has endorsed calls by opposition figures urging Kenyans to stage demonstrations in protest against the rising cost of living, particularly the increasing fuel prices. Now, speaking in a public address, Maraga expressed concern over the cost of fuel in the country, stating that the Kenya's prices remain significantly higher compared to several other East African nations. Now, he dismissed explanations previously given by President William Ruto regarding the surge in fuel prices, insisting that the reasons provided do not reflect the reality faced by ordinary citizens. Maraga further called on Kenyans to turn out in large numbers for peaceful demonstrations, saying it is a democratic way of pushing for relief from what he termed as poor governance and escalating economic hardship.
Kitu tunataka tuelewe ni kwamba tuna demonstrate kuhamasisha wananchi wajiandikishe tujikomboe. Ni demonstrations yetu ni kujikomboa, ukombozi. Ili tuwe na nia yetu ni gani? Ni kujikomboa kutoka kwa ile minyororo ambayo tumewekwa. Ujuzi tuliona mafuta imeenda, sasa kila kitu imekuwa bei ya juu sana. Tukiwa hapa Busia, mnajua ya kwamba mafuta ambao Waganda wanatumia inapitia kwetu. Ile wanatumia watu wa Burundi inapitia kwetu. Watu wa Rwanda inapitia kwetu. Lakini hizo nchi zote mafuta ni bei rahisi kuliko kwetu.
Now, leaders have urged young people to disregard calls by opposition figures advocating for demonstrations over rising fuel prices, warning that such actions could disrupt economic activities. Now, speaking after the Shinali Cup finals held in the Kolomani area, Member of Parliament Bernard Shinali, alongside his Shinyanga counterpart, commended President William Ruto for signing a bill aimed at reducing fuel costs, saying it would help ease the burden of the high cost of living. Now, the lawmakers noted that fluctuations in fuel prices are largely influenced by global market forces rather than domestic policy decisions alone.
Kuhimiza vijana wetu wapuuzilie mbali wale wachochezi ambao tunawajua. Wale wachochezi ambao badala ya kusaidia vijana kazi yao ni kuwatumia kama goons. Wale ambao badala ya kusaidia vijana kama vile sisi tumekuja hapa kujumuika na vijana kwa michezo, kazi yao ni kuwapeleka barabarani, kuwapatia mihadarati na kuwapatia bangi. Sisi tunawaomba vijana wetu wawapuuze. Siku ya Jumanne watu waende kazini kama kawaida, kwa sababu sisi tuko nyuma ya rais wetu William Ruto ambaye sera yake ni maendeleo, sera yake ni kupeleka Kenya mbele, na sera yake ni kuhakikisha Wakenya wote wanaungana pamoja na kuweka tofauti zao za kisiasa na tofauti za kijamii na kikabila kando. Jua kwamba sio yeye ama sio sisi tuliosababisha bei ya mafuta kukurupuka katika soko la ulimwengu. Amechukua hatua za kuhakikisha kwamba angalau tunapata afueni kidogo kama wana Kenya.
Now, residents of South Sea staged a peaceful demonstration on Monday following the tragic collapse of a residential building earlier this year along the Muhoho Avenue, raising fresh concerns over safety standards in the area. Now, the protest, which culminated at Uhuru Park, brought together community members, local leaders, and activists who called for accountability and stricter enforcement of construction regulations. Demonstrators warned that another building within the neighborhood is at the risk of collapse, urging relevant authorities to take immediate action to prevent a potential disaster. Organizers of the protest demanded thorough investigations into the alleged incident and swift legal action against those found responsible.
Watu hawafai kuishi. It's not safe for accommodation.
Tunataka minister afuatilie hiyo maneno, hiyo kitu iende kotini, tupate justice, sababu tumechoka na hiyo nyumba next bado iko na shida, na bado huyu mwenyewe bado anaanza kuchukua rent, ameanza kuchukua deposit.
So compelling the DCI to provide and furnish the office of the DPP with the requisite files so that a case is opened at the courts for this particular building. We are also compelling the authorities, the National Construction Authority and the City County Government Building Inspectorate, to do structural audits of this particular building and possibly declare it unsafe for accommodating Kenyans.
Hatutarudi nyuma na hatutawacha vifo viendelee. Kwa saa hii tumefika mwisho, tumechoka. Kuna building yenye ilianguka tarehe 2 Januari. Hiyo building mulikuja mkatuma DCI wakachunguza, president hukufika hapo. Na kuna ingine inamulikwa pia South B. MCA amekula pesa.
Now, the Kilifi County government is supporting over 3,500 students in national schools through a full scholarship program aimed at expanding access to education for needy learners. Now, the initiative was highlighted during an event in Malindi marking the launch of Bishop Thomas Kakala's autobiography, which drew government officials, clergy, and education stakeholders. Now, leaders at the event emphasized the importance of collaboration in promoting education and social development, noting that the scholarship program forms the part of a wider efforts to support vulnerable students across the county.
Sisi, our jurisdiction is ECDE and vocational training. Lakini tutasema kwa sababu ndani ya Kilifi tuna vijana, watoto wa primary na secondary, tukaanzisha scholarship full, si basari, full scholarship. As we speak, we have 3,500 students who are being paid for. Everything. See basari, see part payment. The first phase ni wale ambao they are now Form 3s. So we are phasing out 844. Yes, wako Form 3. How tuna around 2,300. Alafu juzi tumeanza huu msimu wa CBE. the grade 10s nao pia tutaenda nao, ambao we have 1,700, so together they are around that 3,500, ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba watoto wetu ndani ya Kilifi County na wherever we serve, that they get the basic rights of education.
Na niwahakikishie watumishi wote wa wachungaji wako hapa, pia mimi vile vile nimekaa na Mheshimiwa Rais na tukakuwa na mazungumzo ya kina sana, kwa sababu najua nyenye pia mlimshikilia sana na mlimuombea na mmemsaidia sana pakubwa, na mimi mwenyewe nikamuomba aniruhusu kwamba kabla yeye sasa afike hapa, na mimi vile amenipa neema, Mungu amenipa neema na yeye amenipa nafasi ya kuhudumu katika serikali yake, sasa mimi nikuje hapa tuanze mikakati ya kukaa na nyinyi, angalau hata tuambie asante kwa vile ambavyo nyinyi pia mlimuombea na mlimshikilia, na yeye aliniruhusu. Katika different quarters za leadership zenu tumeanza mazungumzo, na karibuni mimi mwenyewe nitazungumza na nyinyi ili tuwe na breakfast meeting na mapasta wote hapa kaunti ya Kilifi, tuwe na mazungumzo, tujue tutasaidiana wapi na wapi. Ndo tusikae hapa tukisherehekea kwa Bishop Kakala, kumbe pasta mwingine hapo kona anapitia matatizo mingi na hatuwezi fahamu na tujue tutasaidia.
Now, in the business front, President William Ruto has begun the first day of his official 3-day state visit to Italy with high-level diplomatic engagements aimed at strengthening bilateral relations and expanding investment opportunities. Now, the head of state held talks with Italian President Sergio Mattarella, marking the start of a series of meetings focused on enhancing cooperation between Kenya and Italy. Now, he also expected to engage in further discussions with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni during the visit, and according to officials, the visit seeks to unlock new investment agreements and infrastructure partnerships with the key focus areas including major development projects such as the Ara, Kimwarer and Itare Dam initiatives. Take a look. Now, Brighter Monday Kenya has entered into a strategic partnership with players in the security sector in Kenya aimed at strengthening corporate security leadership while creating employment opportunities for young people across the country. Now, the initiative seeks to improve access to work readiness training and enhance job placement outcomes for youth aged between 18 and 35, particularly as organizations adapt to evolving security threats and operational risks. Now, speaking during the partnership, country program lead and head of strategy TATC at Brighter Monday emphasized the need for a skill-driven approach in talent development within the security industry.
The marginalized employees being the young, the female population and the disabled population. These don't necessarily feature, although we try very hard for equal employment opportunity. Of course, our industry generally requires people who are fit and able to work in quite adverse conditions. So we're very happy to partner with Brighter Monday in order to improve the employment prospects by improving the communication.
It's my pleasure signing this partnership with KCA today. We are trying to basically, reduce the rate, or rather the gap of unemployment in the country. And by so doing, we're trying to attend to, supplying with KCA members with the ready talent pool for their use. We are looking to impact over 10,000 people at the end of this exercise, or even more. And by so doing, I mean we are going to look forward to create at least over 10,000 jobs, and through in the security guards sector. And I know that through the chair here, we are going to be in a position to successfully achieve our vision at the end of this exercise.
All right, now let's take a look on what's making headlines in the world of sports. Right now, let's get sporty. And the Kenya Railway Golf Club professional Samuel Njoroge made a strong start to the opening leg of the Sunshine Development Tour East African Swing, carding an impressive 2 under par 69 to take the outright lead after round 1 at the Thika Sports Club. Njoroge delivered a composed and consistent performance on the par 71 course, registering birdies on the 10th, 11th and 15th holes, with his only bogey coming from on the 9th, and the rest of his rounds remained steady, underlining his control and precision throughout the day. Now, speaking after his round, Njoroge expressed satisfaction with his performance, saying that he remained patient and capitalized on scoring opportunities while keeping the ball in play. Now, Rwanda's Celestine Sanzuera sits just 1 shot behind in second place after returning a 1 under par 17 to started strongly with early birdies, but was held back by 3 bogeys that cost him a share of the lead. Take a look.
Kwa kweli leo mchezo wa leo ulikuwa mzuri kwangu na nimefurahi mchezo, na pamoja na kidi wangu alikuacha kwa ushauri alionipa, sababu aliniambia nisitumie fimbo yote zaidi ya rescue tu, ambao aliona ilikuwa inanipa favor sana, sababu 18 yote sija miss fair. Yote nilikuwa nakaa fairway na nilikuwa nacheza ni second shot zangu zote nilikopo ni mbili. Kwa hiyo kikubwa sana changamoto ilikuwa tunatafuta tu pati ni mbili, bedi ikitokea jua green ni sawa, lakini tulikuwa tunatafuta green regulation. Kwa hiyo tumefanikiwa kupata hiyo na nimefurahi sana, na situacha hapa inabidi kesho niendelee na mpambano, niendelee vizuri. Nimeweza kuepuka kwa sababu toka tulipomaliza shindano la Limuru hatukuweza kuondoka da, tulibaki huku na tulikuwa tunacheza wiki yote, tumekuwa tunafanya mazoezi hapa tukiwa tunacheza. Na kuhusu changamoto ziko sana tu kwa fairway, sababu uwanja unahitaji umiss fairway. Ukimiss fairway ni changamoto kubwa ambayo utakutana nayo. Kwa hiyo tulijitahidi kucheza kila aina ya fimbo, kujua uwanja unahitaji fimbo gani na niweze kucontrol vipi uwanja unavyotaka. Nashukuru Mungu nimeweza kufanikiwa. Katika mazoezi tuliyofanya mimi na pamoja na Profazili tumefanikiwa, tumekubaliana fimbo hii ni ndo ya kupiga, niachane na fimbo yoyote, nisiguse fimbo yote, ni hiyo. Hata kama nikikosea sehemu moja nisiache, nikubaliane nao ni hiyo. Na nimefanya hivyo, nashukuru Mungu nimeweza kuscore vizuri leo. Kwa mimi nitaenda na mawazo kama niliyofanya leo, kwa sababu leo imetokea tu, yani sababu kuna sehemu nyingi ambazo nimescore ambao hata mimi mwenyewe sijategemea. Lakini sitoacha kuendelea kama.
Now, KCB women's volleyball team delivered a commanding performance to secure a place in the quarterfinals of the 2026 CAVB Club Championship following a straight sets victory over Burundi's GLC. Now, the Bankers outclassed their opponents 3-0 in the round of 16, posting set scores of 25-13, 25-7 and 25-14 in a one-sided contest that underlined their title ambitions. Now, head coach Jafed Munala credited the team's depth for the impressive display, revealing that he rotated his squad by starting with a second lineup to test player performance under competitive conditions. Take a look.
So it was good for us to get every player to get experience and exposure for this championship, and because we don't know when you'll need them as we go forward for the title. So it was an opportunity for us to try and all players that we have carried here in Egypt to see their potential and their capability as we move forward for the title. Yeah, Cameroon is a good team. We have watched them play, and what we are going to do, we have to have a strong service and a strong net defense and a powerful attacks. Yeah, I'm taking one game at a time because we are here to qualify for the semis. We are playing quarterfinals tomorrow. Then after qualifying, then we plan for the next match, whether Kenya Pipeline or DCI. There are teams that we have known how they play. So we need to see who is qualifying. If we have already qualified, then we go and work for the semi-final.
I'm happy to start the match of today. Yeah, and I thank coaches. Nawashukuru sana coaches kwa kuniamini. Tunatarajia tufike finali, and we thank God na tuna hope kwamba tutafika, tutakaza.
Right, that particular story wraps up our program here on EBN Prime Edition. Thank you so much for being part of this particular broadcast. Do appreciate your time. I was joined by Alfred Mwangi on the sign language interpretation. My name is Martin Macharia. Do have yourself a lovely night. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. God bless, and as always, let's do this again when God says we do.